All right, 9 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I've been looking forward to this interview ever since I found out that we were going to have it. And my disappointment is that it's so short. We've only got about 10 or 11 minutes to be on the air with Candy Carson. Candy Carson is a musician, and turns out she's a talented author, and she's the co-founder of the Carson Scholars Fund. And if the name Carson is ringing a bell, she's the wife of Ben Carson, and she has written a book called A Doctor in the House, My Life with Ben Carson. Candy Carson, it's an honor to meet you. We met your husband, and we were so impressed with him, and I fell in love with him in a different way than you did, but definitely fell in love with him. Good morning, Candy.
Oh, well, thank you. Good morning and Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. The one thing I wanted to say is that many times in my life I've met a man, for example, and then got to know him a little bit, and then got to meet his wife, and it sort of opened up a whole new understanding about that person, about that man that I had already thought I knew. And,
Wow.
and usually for the better. Usually the wife shows me something that I didn't know about the man. That's just a new side. Does your book do that for us with Ben?
I've never thought of that. Well, yeah, it's a broader perspective. Wanted to make sure that people would understand who he really is, and also what our life was like as we matured together. It was challenging, but no lives are without challenges. So it's I think people can relate to a lot of the challenges that we went through, and they'll see that he is consistently honest, consistently a problem solver, always looking to make things better for the people around him, and especially for his patients. He did whatever he could do. When you think of a neurosurgery and how it's a very small operating field, and you have to make very precise, minute incisions to help someone. And if you sneeze or if you breathe too hard, then that poor person might lose their vision or their hearing, or they might die.
Yeah, really, really.
So he had to be very calm. He didn't even drink coffee because he figured that might hurt a patient, because how you shake a little bit from coffee. So that's one of the reasons why he didn't drink coffee. So it was all about trying to make things better for people. And right now our country is sick. That $18.5 trillion debt that we are sustaining right now, it's just incredible. You can say it, but it's hard to wrap your mind around how much this is. The volume is just ridiculously high. Think about if you were to pay it off at a rate of $10 million a day. So 365 days a year, 10 million, 365 days a year. It would take you 5,000 years.
Wow.
We're almost
I
at
never
the
thought
point
of it that
no
way.
return. Yeah, well, see, that's why, for quality of life for future generations, and that's what convinced me when I saw my grandchildren and those innocent faces. I said, we can't do this to them. We've got to do something. We've got to get somebody in there who's really more about we the people than anything else.
And
that is their main focus.
There's absolutely no way you could say anything other than that about somebody who dedicated their life to helping people medically. Because it's such a short interview, I want to tell you one thing real quick. The whole country got to know Ben Carson as a very astute political commentator, and then we found out that he was a neurosurgeon. It was the opposite for you. You knew he was the man he is. You knew he was a neurosurgeon. Were you surprised that he was so articulate with political issues?
No, he's been a political junkie for a long time. I mean, he started watching.
So that wasn't surprising.
Maybe 10, 11, that he really got interested. Remember when Martin Luther King, they had the hoses and all that kind of stuff when he was growing up. So he became more interested in news and that sort of thing from way back then. So it's not like he doesn't understand the political process and all that kind of stuff. It's just that he's very concerned about the future, because if the only reason we can sustain the kind of debt that we have is because the world monetary currency is based in the U.S. dollar, and that privilege usually goes to the country with the highest GDP. Well, China challenged us on that last December, not last month, but last December, and I think something came through in November 2 months ago where they've been given that privilege, and the only thing that's keeping them from taking over completely with that is their infrastructure financially isn't strong enough. So we've got a really short amount of time before we need to do something to turn it around, because if we don't, the dollar becomes worth nothing, and everything everybody's worked for. is down the drain.
Your book reflects your faith. You have very deep faith. You and your husband have had to overcome hospitals, have had to overcome tragedies in your life through the death of two of your children, but yet you both persevere.
Yes. That was tough. It was tough to write about.
Just listening to the little bit you've said and knowing what we know about your husband, I sure hope that whether he wins or loses, if he wins, then he'll clearly be a part of it. But even if he doesn't win, I hope he is part of our decision-making processes in this country by those who are in office. I mean, I really think he has something to contribute. It would be a shame to see it just all end at the election. The book is called A Doctor in the House. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. It's written by Candy Carson. I'm sure it's available in all bookstores, and I know you got to go like in 7 seconds.
And Vero Beach on, I believe it's Saturday the 9th.
Oh, you're doing a book
Is
signing?
your book signing in your neck
Yes,
of
the
the woods?
book signing. And
Oh,
it's going
okay.
to be, yes, Vero Beach. It's at the Books A Million. I believe it's 2 to 4.
Okay, and tell me what
Excellent.
date again?
And that's January 9th. That's
This
2 days from
Saturday.
today.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yes.
Oh, gosh, I'm so
Yes.
glad you got that in
and
there.
it's not that far away. So if you want to come and see me, I would love to see you.
I would love to see you, too. Candy, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. I apologize to your publicist. We went 24 seconds over.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too. We will be right back.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village